Today in Mark's Game Room, we're going to give you a look at a 2-page set of ancient naval rules. 2 pages? Can they really deliver an historically accurate naval combat game? Well, I think so. And at the cost of $5, the price is right. Here is our review of Greek Fleets at Sea. Hey, welcome to the Game Room. If you have watched the Club vs. Club Thermopylae video over on Little Wars TV, you might have noticed that we use a set of rules called Greek Fleets at Sea for the Battle of Artemisium. Now, we were having trouble finding a set of rules that we liked, so I asked my friend Brian DeWitt to come up with rules.
And Brian was in our Breakcore Manor video, is that right?
How could I forget?
How could you forget?
He was the long-suffering Germans that got crushed by Evie Company. So anyways, thanks, Brian. He has a total knack for writing 2-page set of rules, and so he came up with Greek Fleets at Sea. And we really liked it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here's a look at Greek Fleets at Sea. Greek Fleets at Sea is a large-scale battle game. Each piece represents a squadron of several ancient warships from the Greco-Roman period. This allows you to fight major ancient naval battles like Salamis. Okay, so Matt, what do you think? Do you think that this fit at this scale, at like kind of grand battle scale?
Yeah, so we especially played it where, and I think the game is designed, where each model, each set of ships is a squadron. Mm-hmm. And it really feels like you're maneuvering squadrons around. It has that epic scale. It has that weight of movement for a lot of your ships. So I think so. I think it did an excellent job.
Okay, good. So, I think having rules that are scale appropriate make a lot of sense. Because sometimes I feel like you play sets of rules and you're making decisions that are way below or above what you're playing. So this one seems to hit the sweet spot.
I think so.
Okay, great. Hey, by the way, if you're watching, a lot of people who watch our videos try to guess what's on our table. So in the comments, tell us what battle you think this is. The only hint I'll give you is there's a crossroads right here. So check it out. All right, so...
There's never been a battle fought at a crossroads. How could that happen?
Here are our pros and cons as we look at sequence of play, combat resolution, presentation, movement, and fun factor. And don't forget the bonus round. So let's get started. Matt?
First up, let's look at the sequence of play. This is the game's most innovative mechanism, which revolves around command ships. Each side has 170 command ships, which will determine when a squadron moves and if it has any special abilities. A turn consists of 5 phases. First is drawing command ships. Each player randomly draws 5 command ships, which are either initiative or special abilities. Second, players assign an initiative chip and speed to each of their squadrons. Third, squadrons are moved in order of their initiative number, with lowest going first. During movement, squadrons can ram or rake enemy squadrons. Fourth, squadrons that are grappled resolve boarding actions. And finally, players clear their markers and fight fires. So for sequence of play, I would definitely give the game a pro. I think it's pretty innovative. We definitely have a semi-randomized turn sequence, but the players have some control over what they need to happen sooner. And it feels as a player like you have the right amount of control over what's happening. You're definitely surprised, but it keeps the game interesting and it definitely captures that feel that it needs to, I think. But what did you think, Mark?
So I definitely give it a pro because, it is innovative, it's lively. It's definitely, I think, the most gamey or game mechanic kind of thing, right? Like, is it really representing the oars? I don't really know, but we're dealing with a high level, right? We're not talking about individual ships, we're talking about a squadron. So when you go to that level, you're already abstracting some things. So I felt like this was appropriate. And you do have some control because when you pick your chips, even though it's random, you do get to see what they are and you get to assign them how you want them. So you are able to exert some control over the battle. So I thought it was a really nice balance between randomness, unpredictability, but still having a little bit of control over it. And also for a fleet scale, I felt the abstraction was actually just great.
Yeah, it adds that fun sort of gamey poker mechanic of trying to second guess your opponent. It's usually something you see in flight games, one-on-one dogfighting and whatnot. Yeah. But it plays very well and in a very elegant way, I think, in a naval game like this.
Yeah, and it's always in this game. So much of it is about the ramming.
Right.
You might come right close, and it's like who's going to go first. It really matters, and this is a great mechanism. And the other thing we should say is, it's number based, right? So it's 1 through 9, with 0 going first. If you get a 0, you're going first. But one side has only odd numbers, and the other side only has even. So that's a really elegant way. There won't be any ties.
Yeah.
Right. One side is definitely going to go before the other. I thought that was a brilliant mechanism.
Totally agreed.
So I think we can see Brian's math brain.
Definitely a play there.
Big math brain. All right. So I think we give that a pro. Super fun, elegant, appropriate for the scale. And it was really great. The one thing is you do have to put counters down. So you'll see in the video from the Little Wars that we did, there can be a lot of counters on the table. So if you don't like a messy table, you're going to want to think about making small counters, or maybe I think someone suggested you could add it to the roster or something.
You could do rosters. You could also measure the speed with something that blends into the board better, maybe. You could use a wave image, something like that. But you do end up probably needing counters for fierce marines, things like that.
Yeah.
So if you're really into rosters, a roster could theoretically work.
So that's my only negative part of it is more just an aesthetic thing than a game thing, right? But everyone out there, all the stuff I've seen over the years that you guys do to make things look cool, I'm sure you can figure out something to make these ships blend in and be really awesome. So, all right, great. So we move on?
I think so.
When a ship moves, it must move a number of hexes equal to its current speed, which can be from 0 to 3. Speed can be increased or decreased 2 values per turn. Ships that end in the same space conduct ram attacks, while ships that pass through each other can conduct or rake attacks. Okay, so when it comes to movement, I'm going to give this a pro because I felt like it's very clear. You look at the board, you know exactly where your ship can go. You know where your opponents might go, so you have some sense of where they are. But because you can change your speed, you're not sure exactly. So I felt like it's fast and it's very clear, and it felt good to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for the level of game it's trying to be, sort of a strategic level game for as far as naval ancient warfare goes, it gets everything it needs to get. It's kind of a bite-sized game, so it gives you a lot of flavor in terms of the movement, in spite of the fact that it's so small. And I think, the fact that everything is so clear, it's hex-based, really lends itself to being an easy playing, but still tactically complex game.
Right, and because it's so clear and easy, I think it's good for new players, right? You don't have to worry about, you're measuring, and sometimes I get a little frustrated with naval games. Like when you're measuring and it's like you're moving X amount of knots, you're going to move 2 1/4 inches. To me, that's just hard to measure. Are you really getting it? I don't know. This is very clear for a new player. They can sit right down. And I know that Brian writes these 2-page rules to run at conventions, right? Where you sit down with 6 people you never met before. He hands out this 2-page thing, and within 10 minutes, you're all playing the game and having fun. So for new players, I think it's a great game. And the movement really, I think, helps.
Totally agree.
All right. Okay, next.
Let's talk about combat resolution. Greek fleets at sea resolve all combats with a number of D10 die rolls with appropriate modifiers. Rams and oar rakes use 1 D10 roll, while shooting and boarding actions require 1 D10 per archer or marine. Rams and oar rakes primarily cause damage to enemy ships, while shooting and boarding actions will kill crew. All damage is recorded on squadron roster sheets. In terms of combat resolution, I think the game, within its genre of being sort of a small game, seemingly designed as a con game, I think it definitely does its job well. There are enough levers here where you can make one side have better marines and one side have better archers, or change the way that ships are structured so that they have different boxes, what have you. And it's pretty easy to keep track of what you're supposed to be doing for combat. It's mostly very slight modifiers on a D10 roll or a number of D10 rolls, and you have a roster to sort of knock off any casualties, so you don't have to crowd the board up with markers. So I think nothing crazy intuitive, or nothing crazy new, nothing innovative here, but it definitely does its job well. No complaints. I have no issue.
So if you were given a number, you'd be about a 6.
About a 6. 10. About a 6 out of 10, which we've discussed. We're not allowed to use numbers as much as I would like to.
All right. Well, I give it a pro. And same thing that Matt said. The combat system is very simple. Doesn't get in the way. I like the fact that when you have a lot of Marines, you roll a bunch of dice. So if you're like, Greek hoplites and you're storming ashore and you got a lot, it feels really good to roll those dice. Yeah. It's also, I think, appropriate for the scale, right? If you have a squadron attacking a squadron, you're just rolling to see what the outcome of the squadron hitting it, right? You're not going to get super in detail. It's just this squadron defeated them, and one die roll does that. Simple, makes sense for that scale. So I think the combat resolution is actually appropriate for the scale of the game. So I definitely give it a pro.
I just heard your inner Warhammer sneaking out with that many dice comments.
Oh my God.
You're going to get some hate mail for that one.
Okay. I love you, Warhammer.
They won't send you money.
No. I'm sorry. Hey, Charlie painted some Space Marines. Got a video coming up on that soon. He did a great job. So I don't know how we got onto that, but
that would be me.
All right. So 2 pros for combat resolution. It's fun, doesn't get in the way, and I feel it's appropriate for the scale.
Totally agreed. That's a pro.
Let's look at these rules from the perspective of presentation. They are obviously created on Word or PowerPoint, and they're pretty basic looking. There's no pretty photography of miniature triremes or Persian Marines. The rules are set up to let you know how to play, and that's it. There are 2 pages of rules, 1 page of ship stats, 5 pages of command chips, 6 pages of ship damage rosters, and 1 historical scenario. There's no table of contents or index, but with only 2 pages of rules, you don't need one. Okay, when it comes to presentation, I think I gotta give this one a con. And the reason is, it's nothing really interesting to look at. So like once you've kind of read it, it's a side, right? It's not the kind of rules that you kind of want to come back to, that you enjoy spending some time with. And even though it's only 2 pages, you still should be able to do that, right? And my example I'm going to give is someone on Twitter posted a set of rules they wrote that fits on an index card, 2 sides, and they put it free on Twitter. And just because it looked so cool, I'm going to try it. And I think we're going to do a video about it, right? I don't even know if the rules are any good, but it was so cool just to look at, really drew me in, right? And I think these rules, the presentation is so basic, it can actually push people away, right? And I think the rules are really good. You really kind of want to be drawn in. So I think a little better presentation would really have helped these rules. The plus, I think, is that everything is there and it was easy to find. So from like a technical point of view, they're kind of laid out good, but I didn't really want to love them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. It could be on Excel, but with what it is, I think for the cost, it's fine, right? It's not, as you said, it's not drawing you in. I don't think that was the point. I think Brian could probably put more time into it if he wanted. He just chose not to. That's okay. You really have to hear about this to want to play it, because exactly, I'm not going to like see this on a countertop and say that I really want to play it. But once you have given it a try, I'd say it's well worth it. So I am going to have to unhappily give it a con because I can't give numbers. But but I think it's, again, with the caveat that it's a 2-page rule set. There's only so much you could do with it anyway. But,
well, I don't know. I mean, Ruthless looks pretty nice.
There you go. Okay. Ruthless. Shameless plug. Ruthless. Plug. But I agree. I think it can be done. It's just maybe something that Brian could go on Fiverr and hire someone to put a little effort into it.
Right. Well, and to kind of take the bullet as well, we put out the Age of Lincoln, and I was so maxed out on working on the videos. I had no time to focus on the sheet. And we did get some comments that people were like, it's hard to read, and we totally hear you, right? So moving forward, we will also try to do the same. So thanks for your feedback on that.
We were listening.
Matt's the guy that put it together.
I was told what font to use.
Okay. Font Nazis.
Finally, we're talking about the fun factor. Did we have fun while playing these rules? Did the fun increase the more we played it, or did it wane? So I think this is pretty easy. We definitely had fun with it. Certainly I did. I can't speak for you. I think it makes the best use it can of some of the gamier elements to really amp up the fun on that.
I think so.
I think it plays in a very almost board game like way where it has a nice balance to it. The sequence of play is broken up in a very engaging way. I definitely had fun playing it. Yeah.
I had fun too, and I would say, we also say in our little VO there, did it wane? Mm-hmm. And for me, no, it actually gets better. The more I played it, I was like, I get this game, and I enjoy playing it. I mean, it's kind of my go-to ancient naval game now because I just enjoy it so much.
Easy to learn, hard to master? One of those?
Yeah, right. Easy to learn, hard to master. So, I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I definitely give it a pro for fun factor.
Totally agreed.
Okay.
Solid pro.
Bonus round?
Bonus round.
So, bonus round is when we can kind of bring in anything else we want to talk about that aren't covered in the top 5 things. And I have a bonus, and I think yours is the same.
I think so. Yep.
He's copying me. That's okay.
Oh, I saw his homework.
All right. So, the bonus we want to talk about are the special attribute chips. I think those is a great part of the game because it's really kind of where some of the flavor comes in, right? And the way it's done, you can increase or decrease the flavor depending on what you want, right? So when you get your command chips, you have all your initiative chips that you're going to get, but you're also going to get things like Fierce Marines, which makes your Marines fight better, Heroic Rowers, which will give you an extra hex of movement, Expert Seamanship, which you can do more turns, and Archers. I forget what it's called, but it improves your archery, right? So it's kind of fun. You can kind of hoard those. It's another aspect of the game. You can hoard them, but you might want better initiative chips, so you might have to discard them. So it's a nice choice. It also allows you to kind of stack the deck, right? So if you're playing the Greeks that have heavily armored hoplite Marines, you can add more Fierce Marine chips to the pool. So then the Greeks will have more options to have Fierce Marines. And like the Persians, you can give them better, more good shooting chips, so they might have better archery.
And it's not a shared pool, right? They're pulling from their own.
They're pulling from their own.
Completely separate the way the two sides function.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to give that a definite pro because I think it's a nice chrome to the game that adds just a nice feel. And it's so fun when you board someone and then Fierce Marines. It's great, right?
And it has no bookkeeping, right? They're
no
just the tokens that you pull. So you're immediately aware of the rules that apply to them.
Right.
You're only going to have 3 or 4. It's just how many of them you get.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it. That's the one bonus.
All right.
That's a good one.
Okay, here's our final total. But before we tell you that, please like and subscribe. Smash that like button.
That's what the kids say.
That's right. Okay, so our final total is we have 10 pros and 2 cons. So pretty much overwhelmingly, we recommend this game. If you want to get it, you have to email Brian DeWitt personally, and he'll get you the rules. So his email is going to be in the description below, and I believe the rules are $5. You can work that out with him, but it's totally worth $5. You're going to get way more fun than $5 worth. You think?
Totally agree.
All right. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate all your time spent with our channel. Let us know what you're liking, what you want to see more of, and we're going to keep trying to grow this channel as much as we can. And don't forget, tell us what game you think we have on our table right here. We'll see you next time.